If you work hard on your job, you'll make a living. But if you work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune. And not just money, though that will likely come too, but a fortune in relationships, in health, in joy, in fulfillment, in lifestyle. A total life fortune. The marketplace pays extraordinary rewards for extraordinary performance. Average is just that, average. The marketplace pays average rewards for average performance, but we don't want average, do we? Nobody here is aspiring to mediocrity. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I think I'll be mediocre today. No, we want extraordinary, and to get extraordinary results, we need to become extraordinary people. You see, income seldom exceeds personal development. That's why we have to work harder on ourselves than we do on our jobs. Sometimes I think people have this backward. They think if I can just make more money, then I'll be able to do more, have more, become more. But it doesn't work that way. Here's the key formula for success. We get paid for bringing value to the marketplace. And we must become more valuable to earn more money. Unless we can find a way to serve more people or serve people better, it's hard to increase our income. The only way we can increase our service is to increase ourselves. Now, I'm asked all the time, how do I develop myself? Where do I start? And I always say start with the basics. You don't have to do extraordinary things to get extraordinary results. You just need to do the ordinary things exceptionally well. First, become a good reader. The books you don't read won't help. I used to have a mentor, Mr. Schoaf, and he always said, Jim, don't just read the easy stuff. You may have been reading the easy stuff for so long you may think you're an expert at it. Don't be afraid to tackle the more complex material. Stretch your mind. Reading is to the mind what exercise is the body. I read the Bible and a few other books for the first 25 years of my life. Then I met Mr. Schoaf. He recommended a couple of books I started reading, and it changed my life. Just a couple of books. Don't miss this. A few small disciplines practiced every day will make a tremendous difference in your life 90 days from now, a year from now, 3 years from now. Second, keep a journal. Write down the ideas you pick up from books, from conversations, from life. Don't trust your memory. We can miss some of the greatest ideas that come to us in an instant unless we record them. And the act of writing helps clarify your thinking. Third, become an observer. Look for lessons everywhere. Don't just go through life, grow through life. Be like a sponge, absorbing what you can from the world around you. Mr. Schoaf used to say, Jim, don't be a follower, be a student. There's a big difference. A follower just says, tell me what to do, and often they do it without understanding. But a student says, teach me so I can do it myself and understand how it works. Fourth, spend time with people who inspire you to become better. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So choose wisely. If you want to earn more, learn more. Find people who are already where you want to be and spend time with them. Their habits, their way of thinking, their outlook on life will rub off on you. Let me tell you a story. When I was a young man, I was invited to a millionaire's home for dinner. I'd never been to a millionaire's home before. This was new territory for me. Let me tell you what happened. We sat down at the dinner table and I noticed something strange. The serving dishes were empty. I thought to myself, I knew rich people were eccentric, but this is really something. Then I realized we were going to serve ourselves from the kitchen. You know what was happening? It was family style. Everyone helped themselves and passed the food around. But here's what I found fascinating. This millionaire family discussed ideas at the dinner table. They talked about what they were reading, what they were thinking about, projects they were working on. In my home growing up, we mostly discussed the weather and if the tractor was ready for the season. I realized something profound that night. It wasn't just about the money. It was about how these people thought, how they spent their time, what they valued. I decided right then that I needed to change, not just my income, but my thinking. I needed to work harder on myself than I had been. Now, personal development isn't complicated, but it isn't easy either. It takes discipline. And you know what discipline is? Discipline is giving yourself a command and following it. Discipline weighs ounces, but regret weighs tons. The pain of discipline is always less than the pain of regret. Let me ask you a question. If you had a garden, would you only tend it once a month? Of course not. You'd weed it, water it, care for it regularly. Your life, your mind, your relationships, your health, these are all like gardens. They need regular attention. Some of you might be thinking, I'm too busy for all this self-development stuff. Well, let me tell you, you're never too busy to develop yourself. That would be like saying, I'm too busy driving to stop for gas. Eventually, you'll find yourself stranded on the side of the road. The key is to set aside time each day, even if it's just an hour. Get up a little earlier if you have to. Use your commute time to listen to educational material. Turn off the TV and read for 30 minutes each evening. These small investments of time will pay enormous dividends. You know, there are really only two ways to change your life. Either something new comes into your life or something new comes out of you. And since we can't always control what comes into our lives, we have to focus on what can come out of us. New skills, new attitudes, new disciplines, new capabilities. I've spoken to people who say, Jim, I've been working for 20 years. But in reality, they've been working 1 year 20 times. They haven't been growing, they haven't been developing, they've just been repeating the same patterns over and over again. Don't let that be you. Make this the year where you truly commit to your personal development. Make this the time where you decide that you're going to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Let me share something that changed my life. Mr. Schoaf said to me, Jim, if you want to be wealthy and happy, learn this lesson well. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. I didn't quite understand what he meant until later. But here's what I eventually realized. Your income is directly related to your philosophy, not the economy. My mentor asked me, Mr. Rohn, how much money have you got saved? I said, none. He then asked, who sold you on that plan? You know, that was a new way of looking at it for me. I'd always thought of my financial situation as a result of circumstances beyond my control. But he was suggesting that my financial situation was actually a result of my own philosophy, my own way of thinking. I used to blame everything outside for my lack of progress until I heard that one line from Mr. Schoaf that changed my life: income seldom exceeds personal development. That phrase changed my life. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was 25 years old. He said, if you want to have more, you have to become more. Success is not something you pursue. What you pursue eludes you. Success is something you attract by the person you become. For things to improve, you have to improve. For things to get better, you have to get better. For things to change, you have to change. When you change, everything changes for you. I remember shortly after that I went home and said to my wife, I'm going to get rich. She said, we're already rich. And I said, no, you don't understand. I'm going to get really rich. And she said, well, if it doesn't take too much time. But you know what? It does take time. It takes time to build any worthwhile enterprise. It takes time to build a better you, but it's time well invested. So how do you work on yourself? Let me give you a few more strategies. Develop a positive philosophy. Become a possibilitarian. Don't dwell on what's wrong. Concentrate on what's right and what can be improved. Your personal philosophy is the greatest determining factor in how your life works out. Philosophy is like the set of the sail. The same wind blows on us all. The difference in arrival is not the blowing of the wind, but the set of the sail. Develop good communication skills. Learn to express yourself clearly and persuasively. The ability to effectively communicate your ideas can multiply your value in the marketplace dramatically. When I started learning to express myself, my income started to climb. I found that my opportunities expanded as my ability to communicate improved. Learn to be fascinated instead of frustrated. When something isn't working, get curious about it rather than irritated by it. Ask, what's the lesson here? What can I learn from this? Frustration can stop you, but fascination can drive you to find solutions. Take responsibility for your life. Stop blaming others. Stop complaining. Stop making excuses. The day you take full responsibility is the day you start moving toward a better future. As long as you can blame someone else, as long as you can make an excuse, you won't change. I remember meeting a man who blamed the government for his problems. I asked him, how long have you been in America? He said, all my life. I thought to myself, the same government I've lived under all my life, and look at the difference. Same government, different results. What does that tell you? It's not the government, it's you. It's not the economy, it's you. It's not what happens that determines your future, it's what you do about what happens. Now let me tell you about setting goals. Most people, major and minor things. They spend their lives on things that don't matter much in the long run. Working on yourself means having a clear sense of what's truly important to you, and then focusing your time and energy on those things. Write down your goals. There's something almost mystical about putting pen to paper. It clarifies your thinking and plants the seeds of achievement in your subconscious mind. Don't just think about what you want, write it down. Be specific. Not more money, but an income of $100,000 this year. Not better health, but walk 30 minutes every day or lose 20 pounds by June. When I learned to set goals, my whole life changed. Before that, I was just drifting. And you know what happens when you drift? You don't go uphill. Drifting only takes you one way, downhill. It takes focus and intent to move your life in a positive direction. But here's something important about goals. Goals help you do more and become more, not just get more. The greatest value of reaching your goals is not what you get, but what you become in the process. That's why working on yourself is so important. The journey of achievement transforms you. Let me give you an example. Say you set a goal to earn twice your current income. To achieve that goal, you might need to learn new skills, develop new relationships, overcome fears, learn to manage your time better, and so on. By the time you've reached your income goal, you're not the same person anymore. You've grown, you've developed, you've worked on yourself, and that's the real win. I want to talk for a moment about attitude. Your attitude determines your altitude. If you want to go higher in your achievements, check your attitude. Is it helping you or holding you back? A good attitude is like a good engine. You can have all the other parts in place, the goals, the knowledge, the opportunity, but without a good attitude, you won't go far. And the wonderful thing about attitude is that it's something you can control. You can choose your attitude regardless of circumstances. I remember one time I was complaining about taxes. I said to my mentor, these taxes are killing me. And he said, could you, with your present philosophy, handle more money? That stopped me cold. He helped me realize that my attitude about money was limiting my ability to earn it. So I started working on my attitude about money. I started seeing it not as something to complain about, but as a tool for creating value and opportunity. And guess what? My income started to rise. Not because the economy changed or my company suddenly decided to pay me more, but because I changed. You see, what you become is what attracts. If you want to attract better circumstances, become a better person. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Now, when I talk about working on yourself, I'm not just talking about financial success. I'm talking about becoming a well-rounded human being. Health is wealth. Relationships are wealth. Peace of mind is wealth. Spiritual depth is wealth. Many people make the mistake of focusing only on financial growth, only to discover that they've neglected other critical areas of life. Don't let that happen to you. Set goals for your health. Set goals for your relationships. Set goals for your spiritual life. Set goals for your intellectual growth. You know, life gives you about what you deserve. If you want more, you need to become more deserving. How do you become more deserving? By working on yourself, by constantly improving, by never settling for less than you can be. The key to having more is becoming more. The key to becoming more is growing more. The key to growing more is learning more. The key to learning more is exposing yourself to more. And the key to exposing yourself to more is doing more. I want to emphasize something important here. Personal development isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. It's about developing your unique talents and gifts to their fullest potential. It's about becoming who you were meant to be. Every one of us has the potential for greatness. Not necessarily fame or fortune, though that may come, but greatness of character, greatness of contribution, greatness of purpose. And that potential can only be realized through consistent, intentional self-improvement. I remember when I first started on this journey, I was a broke, embarrassed farm boy from Idaho. I had no special advantages, no exceptional talents that I was aware of, no remarkable background. What I did have was a willingness to learn and grow. I had the good fortune to meet someone who believed in me more than I believed in myself. Someone who saw potential in me that I couldn't see. And most importantly, I had the sense to listen. When Mr. Shoaf told me to work harder on myself than I did on my job, I took that advice to heart. I started reading books. I started attending seminars. I started associating with successful people. I started keeping a journal. I started setting goals. Little by little, day by day, I began to change. My income changed, yes, but more importantly, I changed. And you know what? The process never stops. I'm still growing, still learning, still developing. That's one of the joys of life, the journey of becoming. There is no finish line in personal development, no point at which you can say, there, I'm done growing now. It's a lifelong process, a lifelong adventure. Let me tell you something else about working on yourself. It isn't always easy. Sometimes it means confronting hard truths about yourself. Sometimes it means acknowledging weaknesses or mistakes. Sometimes it means stepping out of your comfort zone and trying something new. Sometimes it means letting go of old habits, old ways of thinking, old patterns that aren't serving you well. But here's the thing, the pain of staying the same is ultimately greater than the pain of change. Comfort can be the enemy of progress. Don't let your desire for comfort today rob you of the future you could have tomorrow. I often say that there are two types of pain, the pain of discipline and the pain of regret. The pain of discipline weighs ounces, while the pain of regret weighs tons. Choose the pain of discipline, of growth, of change. It's a small price to pay for the rewards that follow. You know, some people say, but I don't have time for all this self-development. I always respond, you don't have time not to develop yourself. Think about it. If you keep doing what you've always done, you'll keep getting what you've always gotten. If you want something different, you have to become someone different. Time is our most valuable resource. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. The difference is in how we use them. Successful people invest time in their personal development. Unsuccessful people spend time on activities that add little value to their lives or their futures. Here's a question to ponder. Where will you be 5 years from now based on your current habits, your current level of commitment to growth, your current investments in yourself? Will you be in essentially the same place, or will you be dramatically improved? Let me tell you about what I call the slight edge. Small disciplines practiced consistently over time create major breakthroughs. Reading just 10 pages of a good book every day means you'll read about 15 books in a year. That's 75 books in 5 years. Think about the knowledge, the insights, the wisdom you'll gain from 75 carefully chosen books. And all from just 10 pages a day, a 15-minute commitment. That's the power of small disciplines. They don't seem significant in the moment, but their cumulative effect is enormous. The problem is the things that are easy to do are also easy not to do. It's easy to read 10 pages, it's also easy not to. It's easy to take a 30-minute walk, it's also easy not to. It's easy to save a small portion of your income, it's also easy not to. The difference between success and failure isn't dramatic, it's subtle. It's the small choices we make day after day, week after week, month after month. So how do you ensure you make the right small choices? By having a big enough why. When your reasons are strong enough, you'll find the discipline to do what you need to do even when you don't feel like it. What's your why? What drives you? What gets you out of bed in the morning? What would make all the effort worthwhile? Get clear on that and the how becomes easier. Let me share something with you that might surprise you. Working harder on yourself than you do on your job doesn't mean you'll be working less hard at your job. In fact, you'll probably work even more effectively at your job. Why? Because as you grow, you bring more value to everything you do. You become more efficient, more skilled, more knowledgeable, more confident. You see opportunities where others see obstacles. You find solutions where others get stuck. I've noticed something interesting in my life. The more I've invested in my own growth, the more opportunities have come my way. It's as if the universe responds to your commitment to become better. Doors open. People appear, resources become available. It's almost magical, but it's really just the natural consequence of personal growth. Let's talk about a critical aspect of personal development, learning from failure. Now, nobody likes to fail, but failure, properly understood, is one of our greatest teachers. The question isn't whether you'll face failures, you will. The question is what you'll do with them. Will you let failure define you, or will you let it refine you? Will you use it as an excuse to give up, or as a reason to get better? Will you see it as evidence of your limitations, or as an opportunity to grow beyond them? When you work harder on yourself than you do on your job, you develop the resilience to bounce back from failure. You develop the wisdom to learn from it. You develop the courage to try again, but differently. You don't take failure personally. You take it instructively. I remember early in my career, I had a business venture that didn't work out. I lost money, I lost time, and for a while, I lost confidence. I was tempted to say, well, I guess I'm not cut out for business. But instead, I asked myself, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? What would I do differently next time? That shift in perspective made all the difference. Instead of letting that failure defeat me, I let it develop me. I worked on myself, my knowledge, my skills, my mindset. And the next venture was more successful. Not because circumstances were better, but because I was better. You see, success is not a matter of luck or circumstance. It's a matter of choice and change. Choose to work on yourself. Choose to invest in your growth. Choose to become more. And your circumstances will inevitably change for the better. Let me share one more crucial aspect of personal development: the company you keep. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. The people around you have an enormous influence on your thinking, your behavior, aspirations, and ultimately your results. If you want to grow, surround yourself with people who are growing. If you want to succeed, surround yourself with people who are succeeding. If you want to be positive, surround yourself with positive people. The influence of association is powerful. This doesn't mean you should abandon old friends who aren't on the same path, but it does mean you should deliberately seek out relationships with people who inspire you, challenge you, and support your growth. Join a mastermind group, find a mentor, attend events where successful people gather. Read biographies of great men and women. In this way, you can be influenced by the best minds, the strongest characters, the most inspiring stories. Now, I want to touch on something that's often overlooked in discussions about success and personal development. And that's the importance of integrity. Integrity means doing the right thing even when no one is watching. It means keeping your promises, honoring your commitments, speaking the truth, treating others with respect, and living in alignment with your values. Why is integrity so important? Because without it, success is hollow. You might accumulate wealth, power, fame, but you won't experience true fulfillment. And eventually, a lack of integrity will undermine even material success. People won't trust you. They won't want to do business with you. They won't want to associate with you. Working on yourself means developing not just your skills and knowledge, but also your character. I've seen people who were brilliant, talented, and hardworking fail because they lacked integrity. And I've seen people of average talent succeed beyond expectations because they were trustworthy, dependable, and honest. In the long run, character counts more than cleverness. So as you work on yourself, pay attention to who you're becoming, not just what you're achieving. Ask yourself, am I becoming someone I'm proud to be? Am I becoming someone others can trust? Am I becoming someone who adds value to the lives of others? Which brings me to my next point. True success includes contribution. It's not just about what you get, it's about what you give. As you work on yourself and grow more successful, look for ways to share your success with others. Mentor someone, support a cause you believe in, help those who are where you once were. There's a strange paradox in life. The more you give, the more you receive. Not because you're giving in order to get. That's manipulation, not generosity. But because giving enlarges your capacity to receive. It expands your vision, your network, your influence. It brings meaning and purpose to your success. I remember when I started to experience some financial success, I began to give more to causes I believed in. And something unexpected happened. I felt richer giving away money than I had felt earning it. There was a deeper satisfaction, a sense of making a difference that was more fulfilling than the mere accumulation of wealth. Don't wait until you're successful to start giving. Start now with whatever you have. Give your time, your knowledge, your encouragement, your support. As you grow, your capacity to give will grow too. And you'll discover that giving is not a deduction from success, it's an essential component of it. Now, I want to circle back to where we started. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. This isn't just good advice for achieving success. It's a philosophy for living a full and meaningful life. It's about continuous growth, continuous improvement, continuous expansion of your capabilities and your character. The wonderful thing about personal development is that it's entirely within your control. You can't always control economic conditions. You can't always control other people's decisions. You can't always control external circumstances, but you can always control your own growth. You can always choose to learn, to improve, to develop yourself. And here's the incredible power of that choice. As you change yourself, you change your world. As you grow, your circumstances grow. As you expand your capabilities, you expand your opportunities. As you develop your character, you develop your influence. As you increase your value, you increase your income. So let me ask you, what are you doing to work on yourself? What books are you reading? What skills are you developing? What habits are you forming? What disciplines are you practicing? What goals have you set? What relationships are you building? What contributions are you making? These questions are far more important than how's your job going or how's the economy treating you? Because your job and the economy are largely reflections of who you are and what you bring to the table. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Make personal development your highest priority. Invest in yourself consistently, passionately, strategically. Become a lifelong learner, a lifelong grower, a lifelong giver. And watch what happens to your success, your happiness, and your impact on the world. I want to challenge you to make a commitment right now. Commit to investing at least 1 hour every day in your personal development. Read, listen, learn, practice, grow. 1 hour a day, 7 hours a week, 365 hours a year. That's 9 full 40-hour work weeks devoted to your growth. Think about the difference that will make in your life from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And here's a bonus. As you work on yourself, you'll find that your job becomes easier and more rewarding. You'll bring more value to it. You'll see more opportunities in it. You'll perform at a higher level. You might even transform your job or move on to a better one as a result of your personal growth. Let me tell you a story. I know a man who worked as a salesman for years with modest results. He was making a living, but not much more. Then he decided to invest in himself. He started reading books on sales, psychology, communication, and personal effectiveness. He attended seminars. He found a mentor. He practiced his skills. He worked on his mindset. Within 2 years, he was the top salesperson in his company. Within 3, he was promoted to sales manager. Within 5, he started his own business. Today, he's financially independent, doing work he loves, helping others succeed. What changed? Not the economy, not the industry, not the products he changed. He worked harder on himself than he did on his job, and it transformed his job and his life. That story isn't unique. I've seen this pattern repeated countless times in various fields and industries. The person who invests in their own growth eventually outgrows their current circumstances and moves on to greater opportunities and rewards. So don't get stuck in the trap of thinking, if only I had a better job, I could be more successful. Instead, think, how can I become better regardless of my job? Because better people create better jobs for themselves. Better people attract better opportunities. Better people transform average circumstances into exceptional results. The marketplace pays for value. That's a fundamental law of economics. If you want more reward, create more value. And the best way to create more value is to become more valuable yourself. Think about someone you know who's extraordinarily successful. What sets them apart? Is it just luck? Is it just connections? Is it just being in the right place at the right time? Or is it something more? I believe you'll find that truly successful people have worked extraordinarily hard on themselves. They've developed skills, knowledge, character, and habits that make them valuable. Success leaves clues. Look for those clues, study them, apply them. But remember that the outer results come from inner work. The success you see on the outside is a reflection of the development that's happened on the inside. So let me emphasize again, learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. This isn't about neglecting your job. It's about recognizing that your job is just one expression of who you are. If you want a better job, become a better you. The same principle applies to every area of life. If you want better relationships, become a better friend, partner, parent, colleague. If you want better health, become someone who understands and practices good health habits. If you want more wealth, become someone who understands and applies financial principles. Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for fewer problems, wish for more skills. Don't wish for less challenge, wish for more wisdom. The key to having more is becoming more. I'll leave you with this final thought. Your future is created by what you do today, not tomorrow. The decisions you make and the actions you take today are setting in motion forces that will shape your tomorrow. The books you read or don't read, the skills you develop or don't develop, the relationships you build or don't build, the habits you form or don't form, all these choices are creating your future right now. So choose wisely. Choose growth. Choose to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. And watch as your job, your income, your relationships, your health, your happiness, and your life transform before your eyes. Thank you for your time this evening. Remember, for things to change, you must change. For things to get better, you must get better. For things to improve, you must improve. You must improve. When you improve, everything improves for you. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job, and success will be attracted to you like a magnet. It's one of the greatest discoveries I've ever made, and I believe it will be the same for you. Thank you.